Hey, Chapel Hill Church family, Adam here. I just want to take a little bit of time here because it's the middle of the week, and sometimes the middle of the week begins to drag on a little bit. And maybe we just touch base, kind of a midweek connect, if you will, so we can just kind of a little encouragement to get through the week. We see the weekend in sight, but we also know we still got a couple days to go. And sometimes when that happens, we just need a little pick-me-up. And so hopefully that's what this is. And today I'd just like to share with you something that's kind of been working on me a little bit. Since I went to council a couple of weeks ago, in Columbus, I've just been thinking about this matter of prayer. And while I was there, I picked up this book. It's called Forgotten Power. It's a neat little book, just something that kind of turns the waters and makes you start thinking about some things. If you're interested in the book, I do have a couple of extra copies. You can talk to me on Sunday about that. But one of the things that really started off with was just talking about the idea of the Old Testament temple. That's where it starts from, and what the temple is for, and that's where everybody came to worship. And Solomon built the temple, and as he did, we see in 2 Chronicles 6, he prays out to God, and he wants God to just, please let your ears be attentive to what happens here, to the prayer that happens in this place. And what we see in the next chapter, in 2 Chronicles 7, is that God responds. And he says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, he says that he will incline his ears, and he will be there for them. And we kind of see that happening throughout the Old Testament, that when God's people call out to him, he hears them. And it started to just challenge me and make me think about through some things when I started thinking about, well, what does the New Testament have to say about the temple? And one of the odd things is it brings us to the place where we see Jesus actually get angry one time. And he actually makes a whip, and he goes in and he's driving people out of the temple. And he quotes a passage from Isaiah 56 that's talking about this is supposed to be a house of prayer, but you've made it a den of thieves. And so when I started thinking about that, and the temple's supposed to be a house of prayer, and I started kind of weighing these things, okay, 1 Corinthians comes to mind. 1 Corinthians 3:16 and then 1 Corinthians 6:19, and it says that you're the temple of the Holy Spirit. Now, Paul's talking to the Corinthians and some of the things that they're doing with their bodies that they shouldn't be doing, but it does put that principle out there that if we're the temple of the Holy Spirit, when we who are believers, lives within us. What does that mean about us in many ways, but in this concept in particular, we're made to pray. The temple is made for prayer. And so it caused me to kind of push back a little bit. What would my life look like if I really devoted more time to prayer, and I made a commitment, and I set aside time for this thing? What would that look like? And I started wrestling with that. And then beyond that, I started thinking, what if we challenged each other and we held each other accountable to be a people of prayer? And we as individuals were all making sure it was a priority. I wonder what that would look like if we all did that on our own as individuals, and we held each other accountable to some degree. And then we come together as a church. What would it be like if we had a church that was a praying church, and each temple, so to speak, as they came together, and we formed the body of believers here at Chapel Hill Church? I wonder what that would look like. We do see it happen. It's early in the book of Acts. Something pretty powerful happens. The Spirit of God comes down in a powerful way and does great things, and thousands have become believers. Now, it may not look exactly like that because God doesn't usually use the same exact plan twice, but he could do something pretty powerful here in the Akron area, and he might just use us if we do that. When I start thinking about that, I start thinking, you know what, this needs to be a priority for me. So as I started wrestling with that, maybe it's just a challenge for you in the middle of the week to kind of, encourage you to pray a little bit. I just want to maybe put the challenge out there that what would it mean for you to really raise and amp up becoming a prayer like we're called to be in your own individual life? And the second piece of that would be, well, what does it look like for us as a church if we were all working in the same direction? I wonder what that would look like. And maybe we dream in that way. What would it look like if we were all just praying together as individuals and we're praying together as a church? What could God do? It could be something pretty amazing. So let me challenge you with this and make it really simple. Think of 3 prayer requests, and if you had time right now, I'd write them down right now, otherwise it may not happen, and it may be something really simple. Finding 3 requests is not very difficult. Maybe you're praying for your spouse, maybe you're praying for your children or your grandchildren, maybe you're praying for your job, and there's several other things we could be praying for, but just start praying there, and don't necessarily pray like, God, this is what I want, but say, God, what is it that you want in this situation? How can I become the better spouse? How can I grow in this? And not so much God, would you fix her or would you fix him? And start just saying, God, I want your will to be done in each of these situations. Now, you may have 5 things. Great. If you might have more, that's fine. But my point is, just get the ball rolling and spend some time. I also challenge you to just find a little nugget of time where you get quiet with God and turn everything off and focus in on Him. That's just my midweek challenge. Hopefully we can connect on this and make and just be a little bit encouraging. I'm really looking forward to it, church. God's got great things for us. I pray you believe the same thing, and I pray that we're working together in prayer to see what God does want to do with us here as a church and we as individuals. Hope you're looking forward to it too. Talk to you soon.